We're talking Final Four national championship game. Got here Devin Mason with us from POV Sports. Tony Kennedy. Is that the Blackhawks jersey you got on, Tony?
Crab Bowl.
It's Crab Bowl. Nice,
Hockey
nice.
jersey. Hockey jersey.
Crab
That's
Bowl
nice.
hockey.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Hey, are you guys going to do a hockey game?
Nah. Nope.
You
But we do
should.
a hockey jerseys. You know, the Crab Bowl with the logo on it. Get the logo right on the hockey jerseys. Yep. Love them.
You should. Got some good high school hockey teams around here now.
Yeah,
Apparently, the WCAC and Landon and all them are playing hockey.
So what we going to call it? The Snow Crab Bowl?
I love it. Hey, man, the King Crab, you can call it the King Crab Bowl, man.
The King Crab Bowl, yeah.
That would be awesome. So we were talking about this Final Four. It was a historic Final Four. Four of the best programs in college basketball over the last 40, 50 years is what it amounted to. North Carolina having won championships back since the 1950s. Kansas, the birthplace of college basketball. James Naismith, Fog Allen, Dean Smith's alma mater, Adolph Rupp's alma mater. You can trace the crossroads of college basketball all the way back to Lawrence, Kansas. Okay. And when you look at Lawrence, Kansas, it's not a far stretch when you push college basketball west into Las Vegas, into California. Okay. So then you look at Dean Smith taking the game of basketball essentially with him east to North Carolina. And at the same time, you had places like Chicago and New York where the game was building in the inner cities. And that's where North Carolina was getting their players. They were getting North Carolina's been getting players from New York and New Jersey since the 1950s. Okay. They started out, the players that they were getting from the inner cities were, for all intents and purposes, white guys. That's what it was. That's how they were winning. And they had the nerve, and this is the Deep South in the 1950s and 1960s. They had the nerve to bring Catholics. Catholics were looked down upon back then. They had the nerve to bring Catholics to the University of North Carolina to play basketball. And there's one famous team that they had. The point guard was a Jewish guy, and they called it Four Catholics and a Jew. And they were kicking people's ass in the ACC back when that wasn't considered apropos. There were a lot of people in the ACC that took umbrage to them bringing those type of guys on the court. They wanted more Protestants, Baptists, shall we say. Then when integration comes in, Dean Smith brings black players to North Carolina. And I know Tony can name that first black player. Who was it, Tony?
Charlie Scott.
Absolutely. So you look at the history of what college basketball is, and I learned this tidbit. Not only was Dean Smith a player at the University of Kansas, he was also a high school player and played in college. But here's the best part. Dean Smith's father was also a high school coach, and he integrated high school basketball by having black players on his teams. So it made perfect sense that when Dean Smith got a chance in North Carolina to do the same thing, he absolutely did it. Okay. And in a lot of ways, change college basketball. So now let's move this forward into Monday night. That's what college coaches call the national championship game. They don't say I'm playing the national championship game. They say I'm playing on Monday night.
Go back to Saturday night. Understand?
Oh, okay. You want to go back to the part where Carolina wins the game, huh?
Oh, no, we want to go back to the part where the biggest game of the year when we beat Duke.
Let's talk about that. That's great.
We're going to talk about that. Because we ain't going to get through this. We ain't going to get through this about Tar Heels beating Duke when all you guys said they wouldn't win. Y'all didn't think they was going to beat Baylor.
I did not.
Y'all didn't think they were going to beat UCLA. We knew they was going to beat St. Peter's Prep or whatever y'all want to call them.
That don't call them.
You know what, man. You know what, man.
Them boys,
whatever y'all wanted to call them, dude.
Don't disrespect.
Cinderella. We're going to disrespect because for y'all to think that they was going to even have a game with them clowns, y'all were crazy. Now, we're going to go to Saturday night.
Hey, Tony, who was y'all, man? We never said St. Peter's was going to beat y'all, man.
Well, y'all
The only
didn't
thing
say
I
that.
said,
Y'all
only
jumped on
I
the
time I
said
said
bandwagon.
I did.
we all was pulling for the little guy to play a great game. We knew they'd have a chance. But
I don't want to hear little guy shit when my boys are online. That little
Hey,
piece,
Tony,
I told you we was gonna
honestly,
carjack them fools.
you know how
oh
the
man.
ACC,
So
ACC
I guess they
works.
Jessies, huh? They Jessies, huh?
Yes,
No, they're not Jessies. They're not Jessies. Everybody they beat were Jessies. They did what they were supposed to do and knock everybody out and make our road a little easier. Now, let's fast forward to Saturday night for the heavyweight fight when we had to beat Duke. And we put them boys and sent Coach K home. And
two of the
we
winningest
sent
programs in all of college basketball. The
8 miles apart.
the two best programs in the ACC over the last 50 years
Yeah.
is Duke and North Carolina. Okay.
Yep.
Now you would have in the last 50 years, you will have a team like a North Carolina State that could be in the mix. All right. You can have a Virginia recently be in the mix, but Duke and North Carolina have led that league, held that league up as one of the standards in college basketball for the past 50 years. There's no way around. There's no way around it. Even as a UVA grad, a UVA fan, but I've studied the ACC. I've been watching the ACC since the days of Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports doing the regional games.
Mhm.
I remember a time when Duke needed an influx of talent from the DC metro area to save Coach K's job, which is exactly what guys like Tommy Amaker and Johnny Dawkins did. Is
Yes, they did.
they took Duke and Danny Ferry. They took Duke to that next upper echelon level, and he literally has not looked back. I mean, he's had some
No.
hiccups.
The
Now,
86
North
that
Carolina-
86 team was the team. The 86 team was his breaking of the team that broke the barrier for him, because that team, even though they didn't win the championship, that was the beginning of his run with that
that
team.
was- yeah, and
Yep.
a very symbolic run because they played against Louisville, and that's where Nolan Smith's dad played ball, which is
Yep.
kind of interesting how that all works out. Now Nolan Smith is he still is John Shire going to retain Nolan on the staff?
He gone.
No, he's an assistant head coach at Louisville.
He went back. He basically went back home. He left Tuesday. Left on Tuesday, and that's a tough loss for Duke. Just from an emotional standpoint, won them a national championship. Obviously, a great player in their program. Us in the Washington D.C. area, watching Nolan Smith grow up, we remember his dad playing with the Bullets. May he rest in peace. Very sad how his dad passed on. That was very, very sad. But good luck to Nolan at Louisville, and he should be okay. But he's staying in the ACC, so John will get to see him a couple of times a year. It's going to be.
What's crazy? I don't mean to cut you off, but that's a huge loss, because the recruiting part of it. If you look at the starting backcourt at Duke, they weren't going there until Nolan Smith recruited them. Keels and Roach, they're 5-star guys.
That's their DC. That's their DC connection.
That's tough.
Yep.
That's a tough. That's why I wrote the article about Coach K, which I don't think he will. Jay Williams brought it up saying that guy just went to Louisville, and Louisville is a good program, a great program that is just on a downside. Patino had them killing people when he was there. So you get Kenny Payne, who is a former player that played with his father. You get him and Nolan Smith, and recruiting is going to pick up.
Yeah.
You always keep athletes. The issue is they haven't been able to get that one or two guys that make programs change. Now you'll be able to tap into this DMV hotbed because Nolan Smith is a guy that those guys love. And then the scary part is all them guys that he's got, Derek Lively and Dariq Whitehead, that won the MVP of the recent Mike McDonald's game. Dariq Whitehead played for Team Durant, and he was Nolan Smith's recruit.
Right.
So the scary part now is they haven't signed letters of intent, so they can flip.
Till the 15th.
Till the 15th. Tax day. So
yes.
Let's
it's
talk
not
about
etched in stone that they won't go somewhere else. You know what I mean? So
and let's talk about that. The uncertainty. The Duke North Carolina game on Saturday night. Okay. Both programs are in a state of flux. Okay. North Carolina has already made their change to Hubert Davis. And I've said on this show, I've said on my Facebook page, I tell anyone I see, North Carolina should pay Hubert Davis the bonus they would have given him for winning the national championship.
Totally agree.
They should pay it. Right. They should have paid it as soon as those clocks went 0-0 against Duke, because he did everything that he said he was there. He did everything that their fans could have asked for, but win the national championship. And he almost did that. Okay. Gave an honest, a hard-fought effort by those Carolina kids to get that game. I think they ran into a better Kansas team.
No, you stop all that. If Baycott ain't hurt, we blow them out. You know Baycott, they couldn't stop Baycott. And Baycott looked like Tiger Woods today on one leg. Stop that. You know better than that.
Tony,
y'all need to stop that.
Once you get to that national championship game, unfortunately, the injuries don't matter. At that point, your guys play and the other team's guys play. Look at what
Villanova, 4.5 guys.
Villanova's second best or their best scorer or second best scorer
and their best defender, yeah,
and went out in the Elite Eight. So
they would have lost in a close game to them.
It would have been a much. If you ask Bill Self this, Bill Self would have rather played Villanova at full strength, because no coach that's a champion wants to play a team that's hobbled.
No, but at this point, Bill Self said this. He said, "I'll take it however I can get it. I lost to them the last 2 times at this in the Elite Eight and the Final Four. So beating them, I just had to beat them. I had to get that monkey off my back."
I get it, and I would say that Kansas has been past due. I would say that, given the amount of talent that comes through the program.
Oh, you got that right.
But Kansas proves that just having top classes, recruits on top of recruits, one and dones, pro recruits coming through your program doesn't equal automatically a national championship.
It doesn't.
But the beauty of the NCAA tournament is you can have a team like Kansas this year that isn't as flashy or glitzy as Kansas teams have been in the past. I will say this: the Kansas team that lost to the last Kentucky national championship team, that lost to the Antonio
2012.
Anthony Davis team, that team was better than this team.
Yes, more talent by far. Much more talent.
I thought they were just as well coached. I thought that Self did a great job with them. Self ran into a much more talented team that year, and it was Kentucky's year. Anthony Davis was a force. Okay.
And the biggest issue in that game was they had Thomas Robinson was a nightmare matchup for most, but that game you had Anthony Davis and you had Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who all had the size and strength and athleticism to take turns guarding him. He still got 20-something points, but he was gassed. I mean, the work that he had to do to get them points, just like I said, they had more guys,
I'm going to just say, the law of averages just weighed out. Kansas has been a team of this millennial. They have been a team that's been right there. So when you look at, if we go from 2000, Kansas has 2 titles, Carolina has 3, Duke has what? 3?
How many does UConn have? They've got 3, right?
UConn has
03,
04,
14,
04.
11. 04, 11, and 14. 3 for them, too.
Yeah, they have 3.
And 17, right?
No, they didn't win it. Carolina won.
That was 17. Carolina.
Carolina won.
Carolina's got it 09, 05, and 17. Villanova.
17.
Villanova 16 and 18.
UConn has 04, 11, and 14.
And 14.
Right. 14, yeah, they got 3. So when you're looking at is when, the law of averages just weighing out for the teams. I give them that. So I mean that's great. I'm not mad. Now if it was the other way around and we lost to Duke, and then Duke went and beat Kansas, I would be hot right now because no championship for Duke.
I think North Carolina did more for college basketball by eliminating Duke than any team has ever done college basketball. Because I can tell you this, Duke fans are insufferable as it is. Yeah, but if they won the national championship this year and sent
With
off
Coach K.
Final, yeah.
you would have never heard it.
And I kept saying, if they get by Carolina, he's going to get every call Monday night. I said, if they beat Carolina, Kansas don't have a chance because they're going to give him every.
Last Friday, I told y'all it was going to be 8 versus 5. And them referees was cheating like shit. Baycott missed 3 minutes, and then they still fouled him out. I'm not messing with Duke, man. I'm serious I'm not messing with them referees, man.
Tony, what's next for Duke? What's going to happen? Because you and I did the show the day that Hubert Davis was introduced as the head coach of North Carolina. It was almost a year to the day to today. It was like a week, almost a year to the day by a week.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina fans were in a bit of flux. They were little nervous, a little worried as to what the future was going to behold. And then we're here this year. They're national runners-up, Final Four appearance. They beat Duke.
Two things. Can he relate to the parents, and can he get in for the AAU? If he can do both of those things, he is going to be successful.
I'm gonna tell you the other night when they lost, he had the number 5 and the number 7 player for 2023 already saying it's gonna be hard for them to choose anywhere else. So he's gonna be fine. G.G. Jackson, who's ranked 1 in one thing and 4 in another, is an elite player. And there's another kid that is also saying that too. So he's going to get the guys. He's going to get the guys.
As long as you keep recruiting almost one and dones, you give opportunities to teams like Virginia Tech. You give opportunities to teams like Florida State. All those schools who don't recruit those one and dones, and those guys stay 2, 3, and 4 years. The one and dones, it's hard to bring them together over more of a season. It's a different animal. I kind of think that is one of the reasons why Coach K left, because he really, ever since the one and done era, he hasn't won anything. Hell, Coach K hasn't even been to a Final Four since the really one and done.
He's been to 2.
Well, he did to 2015. That was the one and done era.
The one and done era really kicked into full gear. Derrick Rose was a one and done in 08, 09. He was about the only one I remember that was really high class one and done. In 2010, when John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins both did it for Kentucky, that's when it really kicked into gear.
Recruiting thing.
And he had Kyrie Irving.
The one and done was started.
Yeah, he had Kyrie Irving but
the one and done got hurt. It's been about 10 years one and done. So in the one and done era, he hasn't, for that 10 years, he got one championship, man. To have all that talent and have one championship, one.
Yeah, he's missed the tournament a few times too.
He has. What hurt Duke, well, not really hurt him, but it just kind of sidetracked him a little bit, was Virginia had a stretch for about 4 years where they were winning about 28 to 30 games a year. Mm-hmm. And that really changed the ACC in that you couldn't just kick around Virginia and not expect to see them at the ACC tournament in the NCAAs. Now, during that stretch, all Virginia got was a Final Four and a national championship. They take the loss in 2017. Yeah, they take the loss in 2017 to the 16 seed, right?
No, 18. That was 18.
That was
18 season. Yeah.
And then they win it in the 18-19 season,
going
wire to wire. Having never been ranked number 1 that whole season, right?
The last 3 champions have never been ranked 1 in the season.
Correct. Not until the end. And they're the poster children for. They're the poster children for. We don't care that you were number 1 for 15 weeks.
And the Big 12 joined the ACC is the only conference to have back-to-back champs in the same conference with the win, because Baylor and Kansas in 2009 and 2010, Duke and Carolina. So they joined the ACC as the only conference to have back-to-back champions.
And there it is. When you think about what those programs have meant to college basketball in general, and I'm speaking of Kansas, I'm speaking of North Carolina, and I am speaking of Duke. Before all my Duke friends text the show and get all upset that I didn't mention them enough. What those 3 programs have meant to college basketball, the college basketball product, what you are selling, okay, has been immense. You can't even quantify it, okay? If you took those 3 properties out of college basketball, what do you have? You see what I'm saying? You've got to have
Not
those
much.
guys at the top that set the standard. And the coaching longevity that Kansas has had over the years, obviously with Bill Self, Duke and North Carolina at one point had the same coach for consecutively for 30 to 35 years each coach. Dean Smith coached from 1966 to 1991. Huh?
61 to 97.
61 to 97. Oh my God.
Yes,
I mean,
he did.
That's almost 2 generations. Okay. Coach K went from what, Tony? 1970.
1980. Coach K went from 1980-81 season till this season.
It's crazy. And are we going to see, and Bill Self has been at Kansas now for a solid 20 years, right?
Since 03.
Since 03. So I'm pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. He was at Illinois before that, so he's been around.
And let's talk about University of Illinois real quick. Illinois fans have got to be sick today. Absolutely sick. It's very rare that a high Division I program like in Illinois loses a coach to another high Division I program, and then that coach goes on to the success that Bill Self has had. It's very rare. People have said for years that, we've got to pay this coach this so he doesn't leave our program, right? But rarely does that coach, like if it's somebody like a Rick Barnes, Providence tried to keep Rick Barnes for years, and then they felt like, we can't afford him anymore, right? He moves on, goes to Clemson. From Clemson, he goes to Texas. From Texas, he goes to Tennessee. He loves them teams with orange in their uniforms. But the thing about Rick Barnes, and guys like that, it's very rare to see a guy leave a program. It's very small amount of guys. Like you're talking guys like Rick Pitino leaving Providence and then going on to greater success, national championships, and so on and so forth. So for a program as good as Illinois has been, if you look at all the programs in college basketball, the programs that have not won a national championship yet, Illinois is probably at the top of the list in terms of total program success. That have
a lot of success.
Would you agree?
A lot of success, right there.
Illinois, Gonzaga. Your Illinois, your Gonzagas, your Purdue's. All those are programs are together. Those are the ones who those are the ones that are the other blood, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. And 30 years ago, you would have said that about UConn. Damn, all these great players haven't won a national championship yet. Gary Williams, damn, all these great success, all these great players hadn't won a national championship yet. And that was Jim Boeheim, same thing. All these great players hasn't won a national championship yet.
Nobody's
finally
left
those guys break through.
Championships on the table than nobody's left more championships on the table than University of Maryland. That from the potential what they had, from not getting Beasley to not getting Durant to not getting Lawson to not getting all those players that were here.
To not getting Dickinson.
Nobody has left more nationals on the table than them.
I would say
it's
this.
Ridiculous.
I won't say you can't. I won't call it national titles, but I will say no one has left more recruits. No one's left more recruits. And you could argue that Maryland and Georgetown probably have lost more recruits than almost any program in the country.
Which is impossible to me.
Well, what's impossible is that the two of them have been fighting over the same recruits for years, and other programs come in here and then take a good amount of those recruits.
They've been fighting, and neither one of them end up with the guy. Yeah,
correct. It would almost be better. You could argue it would almost be better if one of those programs wasn't even here. You see what I'm saying? Because
they won't play each other. They aren't getting the guys. It's bad. It's irritating.
The argument has always been is that the kids here want to go somewhere else because they know about Georgetown. They know about Maryland. It's not about facilities. It's not about the campus.
Can't be about facilities.
It can't be about facilities because it can't be about facilities. Xfinity Center is excellent. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. When the University of Virginia wanted to upgrade their facility, Maryland was still in the ACC. They literally went in and looked at Xfinity Center and said, okay, we'll just slap some Jeffersonian pillars on it, and we're going to do the same thing that they did. Mm-hmm. And that's what they've got. What University of Virginia did was they were able, for I think about 10 years, they were able to get the NFL, the NBA PA's top 100 to come through there, which is that festival where the top 100 high school basketball players play, and they played at the JPJ. That helped UVA a lot. I'm not saying they got a lot of recruits out of it. They just got the exposure, which is what they needed. University of Maryland and Georgetown can upgrade their facility. The other thing that hurts Georgetown, and it's hurt them for years, they don't play their games on campus. And playing in Capital One, a pro facility, is not conducive to college basketball at the level that Georgetown's playing it right now. The building's too big. Okay? If they play a Syracuse Georgetown game here, there will be more Syracuse fans in the building.
But it wasn't too big back when they were good. The problem is they're not winning. And when
they were playing,
winning, all the places are too big.
Well, let's talk about that, Tony. When they were playing those games, when Georgetown was great, they were playing them at USA Arena. Okay? They were playing in Prince George's County. Washington, D.C. proper now is gentrified. Okay, so Georgetown is not going to derive that same type of home court advantage that they had at the old Capitol Center. It's not the same. It's not the same building. Also, as far as seating, I believe that Verizon is Xfinity Center is bigger than the Cap Center was, isn't it? It's bigger.
Yeah, Cap Center was what, 18,000, and Verizon Center is 21.
Yeah, it's a little bigger. And Tony, I take what you said, and I agree with you. The way I would fix, if I was the athletic director at Georgetown right now, if I was the athletic director, I've got an uncomfortable situation with Pat Ewing. I've got to give him one more year. I've got to give him one more. But what I do have to do is I have to develop a center of excellence in selecting a new coach, because selecting a coach now is different because of this transfer portal, because the fortunes of your program can change in a New York minute. Okay. You might have a good program, good players, and a good bench. And all it takes is 2 or 3 guys going into that transfer portal that you weren't expecting. Okay. And then you're still going to have to recruit. So what this has done, Devin, and talk to me from a coaching perspective. The original one and done formula sped the recruiting cycle up. So you weren't on a 4-year recruiting cycle anymore. You were on a 2-year. Mm-hmm. This transfer portal means you're on a 1-year cycle. How do you do that? How do you keep that longevity in your program that you need to carry on year over year? But how do you keep that pump primed of recruits coming in without here's the other thing, without pushing out the middle to lower level guys?
I bet you Brenda Freeze wants to know that answer right now, doesn't she?
Let's talk about that. And guys, we're on the TD Report here with Devin Mason and Tony Kennedy, talking a little college hoops as we close out the season. And don't worry, South Carolina fans, we're going to get to Dawn Staley in a second. Let's talk about the home team. What's going on at Maryland with Brenda Freeze and the transfer portal? What happened?
NIL deals, man.
NIL
deals,
baby.
They're not, and then you hear the new men's coach Willard say he's not a fan of it. That's not a good look. You can't.
He's not a fan of what?
The NIL. He said, "I'm not a fan of it." That's not a good look when you're. Yeah, that is. Not
I ain't a fan
of
you making millions of dollars either.
And then leaving when you get ready. How about that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
University of Virginia.
They find you out when they fire you. Yeah.
UVA has already started their own company called Cavalier Ventures, where they pool together their money so that there can be NLI deals for all sports, not just your basketball and your football, but for field hockey, women's soccer. And one of my buddies, Lo Davis, a former Cavalier player, has headed that up. They're going out and they're going to get this money for these guys and gals. Okay. So University of Virginia women's swim team just won the national championship, repeat champions. They've all got deals. All of them.
It's important, man. It's important. It's important.
They're not going in. Hey, bro, they're not going anywhere.
No, they're
right?
not going anywhere.
So
no.
That's how you do it. A school like UVA usually is very slow to do something different, do something new, but to develop this Cavalier Futures business is what Maryland needs to do. I mean, if you can't generate that, Tony's got it right. What happens to Brenda Frese now? She's got to go back into re-recruit Owusu, and is that what has to happen? She's got to talk them out of leaving, right?
Well, she seems like Dawn Staley. The way Brenda Frese, I like her. But I think she's run her course in Maryland. It's been 16 years since that title. A lot of people don't talk about that. Man.
That was a great championship.
And it has bought her a lot of time, but she had teams after that probably should have cut down the nets.
UConn was. I remember there was a Maryland team a few years ago, about maybe 10 years ago, that played against UConn and just got destroyed. Yeah, and it was one of Maryland's better.
The girl that plays for the Connecticut Sun, the physical inside player, was their best player, and she carried them to the Final Four, and they got blown out. But they've had some other teams. Even the team the year after they won the championship in 2007, they lost to Stanford in a game that they were favored in, and that's when they lost to Louisville. Jeff Waltz, the guy Louisville was the guy that recruited the three horses here in 2006.
Right.
He went
and then he moved on.
He said one thing he knew about Coleman, Langhorne, and Tolliver, they were great offensively, but they didn't believe in playing defense. So he made them play defense, and they didn't like it. So, at some point, she's a great coach. She won a title, an unexpected title.
Yeah.
But if she can't keep these girls, if you lose an Angel Reese and Owusu and they from the DMV, that's not a good look. Then you had 3 other key role players walk out as well. You lost your 2. Those are the 2 best players on that roster. I know it's Diamond Miller and some other girls can play. Chloe, I can't think of her last name. Chloe Bibby. They can play. But your 2 best players was your point guard, Owusu, 17 points, 8 assists. And is a sophomore or maybe even a freshman because last year didn't count. So she's a freshman, really, averaging 17 and 10. She's so vicious. She told her brother Julian, who's a beast for the Maryland men, the difference between me and you is you ain't a dog. You too nice. His sister told him that recently. He said, you got to get nastier and be a little meaner. I'm a dog. When me and you go one-on-one, I go at you like a dude. My mentality when I go against other women is I'm a cook these chicks. You got Dawn Staley, who on Wednesday or Tuesday, 2 days after she wins the title, she posts on Twitter, little birdie just gave me some great news. And then the very next day, you see all these Maryland girls leaving.
Wow. Jesus. So
these 2 star girls, don't forget, Under Armour works together, doesn't it?
Supposed to.
So Reese and Owusu we're down to Maryland, Notre Dame, South Carolina. I haven't seen Ivy say anything about some maybe getting some girls. She usually gets the guards. Guards are her thing. But South Carolina, NIL deals everywhere. Dawn Staley's the best leader maybe in women's college basketball right now. Austin has another year of eligibility if she wants it.
As a new power rising in college basketball, in women's college basketball, Dawn Staley, her resume is the only thing missing. The only thing missing on her resume is a national championship as a collegiate. That's about it. She's got everything else.
Yep, she got the 2 that you need as a coach. She got the 2 you need as a coach. The only thing left for her to do as a coach now is to win back-to-back, which is very possible next year. And if she gets Owusu and Reese and Boston doesn't leave,
that's a wrap.
This is going to graduate, but you still have Bill and you still have all the other girls. Then she's got Sanaya Miller, who was the 3rd-ranked player in the country 2 years ago, still there. And then you got 4 or 5 girls coming in. Good luck.
Well,
she's gonna
and then UConn's going to recruit.
And UConn's gonna
that's
still
what
be
they
there.
do.
They'll be there.
They're going to recruit.
You got Fudd and Buchers. They got Fudd and Buchers. They'll be around.
Yeah.
You know,
and,
those girls are really freshmen. They'll be around.
And he's going to bring in more. That's what's going to happen. And this was a very interesting season for the UConn women, in that they weren't the odds-on favorite for the whole season like they normally are. Okay, South Carolina was wire to wire. Everyone felt that they were the number one team in the country from the very beginning. They lost a couple of games, but they were generally considered the number one team in women's college basketball the whole year.
But wait, you can honestly say, for the first time, that the women's champion is really the champion, and that the men's champion is really the champion. Because when the season started, Kansas was in that conversation as the best team in college basketball for men's. When the season started, South Carolina was in that 1-2 conversation for the women.
They were pretty much number one the whole time. Everybody had them.
You can honestly say this year, if you close it and said Kansas and South Carolina won it this year, it wouldn't be a surprise, because actually both of those teams were probably the deeper teams in both things, men and women. They were probably, from looking at their roster from 1 to 10, they're probably the best team from 1 to 10.
They were the most complete teams in college basketball.
They're the most complete teams in college basketball.
As in, they could play any style. They're the only two teams that had 2 point guards that could give you totally different styles. Like, you knew DeJuan Harris probably may be the best defensive point guard in the nation when he locks up. He did a great job on his defense. Oh, yeah, that's what he does. He doesn't score a lot. He just runs the show and play. And then you bring in a 20-point bucket getter in Remy Martin, who wakes up scoring. That's tough. And then, like at Carolina, you have Henderson, and you have Bria Beal, and you have Zaya Cook. You have a three-headed monster that can all run the show, and they all can do different things. So when you got great guards like that, and then Kansas also has Braun and Wilson and Abaji, who all can play different positions. So they're versatile. So when your guards are that good, you got one big like both teams had that is really good in McCormick and Boston, you're going to be hard to beat because you're interchangeable and other teams aren't. Everyone else didn't have a Jalen Wilson who's 6'8" and can play power forward, can play point guard, can slide over and play the two. Nobody else had that. He was a Juwan Howard recruit. Gets later to go to Michigan, and he said no because he saw it was too many other guys going there. He chose Kansas, but that guy is a huge difference maker.
But can you think of this? Both teams probably would have won it in 2020.
Yes,
and now
they were the favorites going into the tournament. They were both the favorites going in when the season got canceled.
So now on the first real tournament with the real fans,
they get it done.
Come back.
Very good point. Yep. So they were both the favorites in 2020.
Maybe the lower averages just weighed it out and they won it. So
and you guys bring up great points. Just having you guys ready. Just having you guys ready at the big moments. As coaches, you prepare them for those moments. And then you just, at some point, I think what Hubert Davis did, in my opinion, was he said, look, guys, we got here. We're here. Go play basketball. I don't think some people are saying that he didn't do enough. I think he coached it as much as he could. And then at some point, you're just going to overcook it. At some point, you're going to overcook it.
He got the maximum out of all those guys. Those guys were tired at the end of that game. What Kansas did was speed that game up. What people don't realize is they picked up 3/4 court. When they picked up 3/4 court, they sped the game up. And as they sped the game up and you tied and you only got 5 or 6 guys, really you only have 5.5 guys because the other guy is done. He was actually hoping to get hurt so he can get some damn rest.
The biggest difference in the way Kansas caught him and Baylor is when Baylor caught him, Baylor didn't have a big man they could throw the ball to run their offense through. They still had to take jump shots. Kansas went on that 31 to, I think it was 12 run to start the second half to take the 6-point lead. And when it was 34-12 to get a 6-point lead. It was down 38-23 at the half. And they cut it 40-25, at the half. And they went on a 31-10 run to go up 56-50. And when they did that, it was all about pressuring the guards. And they knew Love, as good as Love and Davis were, they played the whole game against Duke.
Yeah.
they had carried them, as Baycott, that they knew the ankle would eventually start catching up with him. And at the end of the day, had Kansas gotten ahead early, Carolina would have probably not went as hard to the second half, and they may have caught them because Carolina expended so much energy getting ahead of them in the first half. They had nothing left in the second half.
No.
They had they put
Yeah.
everything out in the first half, and they got caught, and it still came down to the last 30 seconds. I mean, it was a battle
It
until
did.
the end. It wasn't like,
Can we talk about that? Did I not say on this show, if something happens on the top of that screen to change the game, that floor and everything is cursed? Now,
the guy
that
stepped out of
play,
bounds. Yeah, he stepped
they
out of
said
bounds.
that play cost over $500 million in gambling.
I believe
That
Which play? You talking about the floorboard?
No,
No,
Harris
when he
stepping
stepped out of bounds. When he stepped out of bounds
6
and they was
seconds
up
ago.
3, the line was 4 in that game. By him stepping out of bounds and not being able to get fouled, and Carolina get to shoot the last shot, and the game is either going to be tied or 3 points, that cost people over $500 million.
Expectancy was Kansas would get fouled and go to the line, make free throws, and they would get up by 4 or 5, and people would win their money. But let me tell you the scary part for me as a Kansas fan, when he did that, Manic slipped in the same spot that Baycott did, or he would have been open because he was going to do the pop out. And when he slipped, he lost control, and then they had to just throw it to Love, and Love kind of, he was tired. He just took whatever shot he could get. He had more time, but he was gassed. He had no legs in the shot.
He had no legs.
He was gassed.
No
he was
legs.
gassed. They were gassed.
That spot where I told you on the top almost gave Carolina the damn game. And that's been 3 straight times that's happened on the same side. Carolina's bench is on the right, the visitor team, the other team bench is on the left. And it's happened when it happened, everybody in the casino grabbed me and said, man, you were right about that spot.
Because I saw that happen, and I said to myself, man, Tony about to call me in 15 seconds. I said, Tony is probably sick.
I was like,
Tony predicted this, man. Tony
I
predicted this.
I said there's a root on that place. Somebody
you said it's a root.
There's a root. Because if Carolina somebody had the legs, they would have hit that 3-pointer, and they would have always talked about that spot on that floor. It almost gave them the game. Now think about that. That will never happen again. 3 straight times.
3 straight years.
3 straight years.
3 straight times.
On
3 straight times they've been in the Final Four.
You gotta believe in something.
I mean, they had a shot when he stepped out of bounds. Man, my heart dropped. I said, "Did you just run out of bounds up there?" We literally got this thing, and all I could think about was Love is so money in this situation. He makes these shots, and I knew he was tired, but I said he the kind of guy that if he gets a look, it'll just go in. It somehow it'll bounce in. It'll be something. But man, but Manic was going to be open. And he slipped on that spot where Baycott slipped, and he couldn't get back into play because they had big David McCormick in no man's land. He didn't know who to guard.
Right. He was stuck, but he was stuck.
He was just standing there like, who do I guard? Yeah, that was the thing. It was, man, oh man.
Hey guys, let's shift gears right here. Let's talk about what we didn't get to talk about earlier. The Masters is going on right now. Got 2 rounds in the books. First day, Tiger Woods was looking good. Shot a 71. He was about 3-4 shots off the pace. Unfortunately, today he shot a 74. He was 1 over for the day. He's now tied, I believe, for 19th. But he did make the cut. The groundswell of interest and support for the Masters that when Tiger Woods earlier this week said that he was potentially going to play was big for golf. It was big. He is still the sport's biggest draw. Okay, still. And sitting in 19th, it's great to see Tiger on the course. Obviously, after the injuries and then a horrific car accident, it's just great to see him out there on the course. He's not going to win tomorrow. You want to see him play well. But let's talk about the top of the leaderboard. Scotty Scheffler sitting there at 8 under par. He's got a 5-shot lead on it. Huh?
He played very well.
Yeah, he played very well.
Shot a 67.
He was money today.
Yeah, he's money with the putter. And Hideki Matsuyama sitting at 3 under, former champion. Well, defending champ, right?
Defending champion.
Defending champion. And I want to talk about something about Hideki Matsuyama, okay? For those of you who don't know, the previous year's winner gets to pick the current year's Masters dinner. You get
Hey,
to
you
pick
know
the
what, me
menu.
and you think, not to cut you off, I was thinking the same thing before you even mentioned that. But go ahead, man. We were thinking his dinner was awesome. His dinner was
I'm gonna pull it. I gotta pull this up, guys.
man,
Hold
I was
on.
thinking the same thing. That was, man.
Where's he from?
He's Japanese.
Okay, well, you ate sushi.
Yeah,
He
and
did. He
Wagyu
had
steaks,
sushi on
and
the menu.
Wagyu steaks.
Wagyu steak.
Wagyu steaks are.
And I hate to say it, it's like if you on death row, you can pick whatever you want your last day on death row,
Yep.
and they get it
Japanese
for you,
strawberry
right?
shortcake and all that. Japanese strawberry shortcake with the
menu,
Japanese strawberries and all that
oh
stuff.
my
Man, oh
God.
man, that menu was awesome. It was the best
They
menu,
bring
man.
in. Someone says this is. I think the food was the best we've ever had.
I believe it. I believe it.
Hey,
They said
so
he gave a speech.
it was better than Tiger's fried chicken.
No, Tiger had hamburgers.
Yep,
Yeah,
yeah, hamburgers and fries.
When Fuzzy Zeller said he was going to have fried chicken, whatever they had, whatever them people eat.
Fried
That's
chicken
not.
and
That
watermelon.
wasn't
Remember he said
nice.
that?
Yeah.
Remember the 97? He was like, what at 98? Whatever them people eat. Ah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna have to figure out. I'll have to find it on the internet. The Japanese strawberry shortcake for dessert. I got to have one of those before I died.
I saw that. Me too. Me too.
I got to have that. That looks
me and you
good,
think
man.
alike. I saw that menu online the other day. I said, "Oh yeah, that's a great menu."
Yeah, that's delicious.
That is a great,
I mean,
great menu.
we don't talk a lot about that food thing on the show. You know, we're not a foodie show, but
Can they afford that Wagyu?
Wagyu?
yes,
Man, oh man.
the Masters, please.
Can they afford that?
Honestly, Tony, they could bring in genetically engineered Brontosaurus steak if you wanted that. They could make that. They could do anything. You want dragon quesadillas? Is that what you want? Okay, we can do that. So listen, you get to pick. What is it? One appetizer, It's two appetizers, two entrees, and a dessert.
Yeah.
Your master's dinner, Tony. What do you got? It could be from a restaurant. It could be something that someone you know cooks really well. What do you got? Two appetizers. What you got?
I got real Maryland crab cakes, asparagus, my rice, and for dessert, I'm always going to get my favorite thing is dark chocolate cake with the chocolate icing.
Okay.
That's my menu.
All right. That sounds good. What about you, Devin?
I'm gonna go. This is tough. I'm gonna take the Hawaiian. They sell it at the place that used to be Houston's in
Hawaiian ribeye.
Cook.
The Hawaiian ribeye.
I'm gonna take the Hawaiian ribeye, some garlic mash, some asparagus like Tony. My appetizer is gonna be probably. Keep it simple. Give me some wings. Some wings, different kinds of wings. Different. Various wings. And for dessert, I have a real weakness for Cheesecake Factory red velvet cheesecake.
Okay, that sounds.
I have a real
really
weakness for that. So if I'm gonna get a dessert, I'm like order some of that cheesecake from there, bring that in, and give everybody a slice of that.
I'm partial to that white chocolate raspberry truffle that they have at the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes,
indeed. So for mine, I've got to go with appetizer. I got to go with a lobster mac and cheese.
Yes, indeed.
Do that. Do a lobster mac and cheese with a little sherry over the top mixed in. It's decadent. It's almost a meal, but I'll go with that as my appetizer. For dinner, there's a place in Chicago called Gibson's. They make a paddle steak. It's the size of a catch. It's the size of a catcher's mitt. It's huge with the long bone. It's also called a cowboy ribeye, but it's called a paddle steak.
Ribeye. Okay, all right. Okay.
I'll take one of those. I'm gonna go instead of the crab cakes. I'm gonna get mine Oscar style. So it's gonna have crab cake and it's gonna have crab and chopped up asparagus on top, and you put it under the broil.
Wait a minute, I forgot my appetizer. My
Okay.
appetizer, I'm going straight DC hood. Y'all know what
Uh-oh.
I'm got.
Wings
Mumbo
with mumbo
sauce and
sauce.
wings.
Wings with mumbo
We
sauce.
know what
There
it
you
is.
go.
Mumbo sauce and
There it
wings,
is
baby.
right there. So they
Yes,
got to get
indeed.
that for the appetizer. I want to
And
make the
for dessert,
masters black.
and for dessert, I'm gonna take that from that butter cake that you can get at Mastro's steak restaurant.
God, that's a piece of heaven, man.
I
It's and
mean,
Piece of heaven.
you had it, right?
Yeah, I've had it. Yeah, I've
Let
had
me
it.
tell you what,
I'm
bro.
about to call DoorDash right now from
You
over
know
here.
what? You go.
It melts
Let me
in
tell
your
you
mouth. It
something.
tastes like butter. It tastes like
I tell
sweet
you
butter.
what. I can guarantee you this: Will Smith ain't taking Jada there and got her that. She'd love him then. I'm sorry,
Oh
y'all.
man.
You see, I had the Will Smith's moving truck, buddy. Let me tell you what.
Did
I'd
y'all see
have
the
a
article I wrote on Jackson State teaching the Will Smith move? You see that move?
Slap.
You ain't have to
They
do that.
call it the Will Smith technique. Man, I almost died when I read that, man. I said, you know what? Deion Sanders is terrible, man. He's terrible, man.
I'll be straight up. I would pack Jada's stuff. I would pack her mama's stuff. I would put it on a truck, and I would send that truck back to Baltimore. Y'all got to go, because I'll be damned. I'll be damned if I be carrying a box out of the house that I paid for $20 million a movie, and you don't run nothing.
Nope.
Hey man, I don't know what's going on in that Will Smith household. You know, you got the ladies in there running everything, man. You got them telling little Willow how they doing their mom, doing her daddy and stuff, and she just sitting there. Man, that ain't right, bro. Will got to get out of there, man. If he's in rehab right now, you know, for exhaustion or mental health and all of that, he just needs time away from them. I'm sorry, they driving that man crazy. They trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
They trying to kill him. It's crazy. So as we talk about Tiger, just to throw that back in there, I'm sorry for the segue there. What do you think about Tiger as far as this weekend? It's important for him to finish this event and not get injured. I think that's the most important thing. I don't want to see him walk off the course hurt. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I'd rather him get this. I want him. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
I think Tiger being that he almost lost his leg, being in the top 20 into the weekend, which is tomorrow's called Moving Day.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has been an inspiration for a lot of folks because most people didn't think that he could actually make 22 consecutive cuts, which is third best ever. For him to do what he's done these 2 days, I think this has put Tiger in the top 5 that he's ever done. I mean, this is the most amazing thing to do this in these conditions in this short amount of time is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I mean, I watched every hole, his last 36 holes, his first 36. And what he did on that course is no less than remarkable, man.
So, can he win another major? Will he win another major?
He's what? How many?
He needs
the
4.
record is 19, ain't it?
The record
20.
is 18. No, the record is 18, I think. 18 or 19.
Nicholas has 18 or 19. He has 15.
He has 15.
So he needs 3 or 4 more. He needs 3 to tie, 1 and 4 to break. Does he win another major? I say yeah. I say somehow, some way he does get 1 more.
Does Serena win another major? She only needs 1
to tie Margaret Court. 2 to is it 1 to tie, 2 to break? She had 23.
1 to tie, 2 to
24.
break.
1 to tie, 2 to break.
She's been trying to tie for 4 years now, though.
5.
She hasn't won one since 17 when she was pregnant with the baby.
Well, first of all, cut the errors and cut it. Tiger's better than Jack, and Serena's better than anyone based
She's better than
upon
Margaret Court by far.
how much competition that you had.
True.
Versus what they had back then. It's not even close.
It's much more. It's a whole lot more people in each tournament.
Oh,
tons more.
Not even. It's not even close.
It's almost like when they talk about basketball back in the day, and they want to give in hockey with 8 teams. I say you got to remember, they were great, but they played against the same team. It wasn't a 30-team league and stuff like that. That makes a difference. That makes a difference.
The talent level,
the talent level is totally different.
And I don't like to do this when you talk about different eras, right?
Me neither.
You can put Jim Brown in almost any era in pro football.
Yes.
But you can't say that for everybody.
No.
You see what I'm saying? You put I'll be honest with you. Put Wyatt Tittle in the NFL right now, he's gonna get killed.
Yep.
He's a dead man. He's a dead man.
You can put Jerry Rice in any era. He'd be great.
Jerry Rice in any era is going to score 100. He's going to score 100 touchdowns in any era.
But I can argue, you can't put Tom Brady in any era because Tom Brady would be getting hit like Bradshaw and them used to get hit. And
he wouldn't be able to cry to the referees and get rules put in place.
It's a total different game for the quarterback.
I'll say that. I would put. I would say Tom Brady in the 80s. He's not that good. He won't, because the rules for quarterbacking, what you could do to a quarterback. Most of them guys from back then have CTE now. Okay,
there's two
because he ain't getting hit like that.
There's 2 quarterbacks from the 70s who would do very well in this era. Would be Fran Tarkenton, and it would be Roger Staubach, because they both could scramble and make plays longer. If you can make plays and extend plays, and you can move and add another part of that game and still be able to be in the pocket, you could have played in this era. That standing in the pocket shit, but you're getting hit. You're getting hit. These quarterbacks nowadays didn't get hit. Didn't get hit.
Hey, Tony. That's Buddy Ryan's contribution to the game. Oh, you want to put your quarterback back there? Okay, we're gonna kill him. Now
you know who can play? And you know who can play in any era, and he's not playing anymore.
Who?
Andrew Luck could have played in any era. Tough as nails. Andrew Luck. That dude got killed, and he still kept coming until his body just gave out on him. Andrew Luck got killed.
I felt so bad for that guy.
I felt so bad for him back there. And he still made the Colts presentable. They were still he came behind a legend, and in his first year they had the playoffs. They get to the AFC Championship in his 3rd year. The dude was a great quarterback until the injuries, the hits just piled up, just too much.
And you know what? He's too smart to stay longer than he needed to.
He's
too smart to do it. And it was a good decision for him. That's the one good thing about pro sports now, especially football. You can make enough money to where you're not sitting there grubbing for money at the end of your career to make ends meet. You see what I'm saying?
True.
So because these contracts and the guaranteed money has gotten so big. And speaking of guaranteed money, a shout out to the DMV's own. We got to give your boy Stephon Diggs, give him a shout out. Got that extension. Got the dollar bills, y'all. What's that? 4 years, 104, 26 mil.
70 guaranteed.
How much guaranteed? So
70
to me.
70.
Everything to me converts to 2 and 3 years.
Yeah,
based upon the salary cap hit.
But he's gonna get his money. But he's gonna get his money. He's gonna get the 70.
By the time he's ready to get off that contract, the guy that they got now that they're gonna have to pay to score the 4 touchdowns is gonna get paid, and they're gonna cut Diggs.
Hey. And shout out to Washington Commanders fans. That Stephon Diggs deal just pushed up the value potentially of a Terry McLaurin deal. 4 years, they're saying on SpotRack, they're saying 4 years, $97.7 million, $98 million.
Listen, man, Washington is so messed up as a football franchise. We can't get the damn draft. They can't get the damn stadium the correct way. They can't do shit right because it's so screwed up around here. Man, tell them to get their stuff together. I want my team that I put on Facebook, we need to go to the front gates, and y'all need to hire us. And in 2 years, we can be competing for the damn Super Bowl. Y'all terrible.
We're year 3 of the Ron Rivera era. We'll see what happens. Hey, folks, we are right at time. We are right at an hour. Tony, when are we going to be back on? You want to go back on Sunday?
Oh no, we never do Sundays because ain't nothing. The Masters is on.
Masters.
So
You want to do
let's
Monday?
go Monday night. Let's go Monday
Let's do
night,
it.
and let's go Monday. We're gonna come back on, and what we need to do is start getting you guys ready for the draft because
Yep.
we're gonna be at different locations for the draft. I'm gonna be in Vegas. I'm gonna be right down there in the middle of all the craziness fans with my cowboy stuff on,
Oh,
talking
God.
trash. You know, getting you guys ready for this. All important. This is an important draft for a lot of franchises.
Yeah, you bet.
A lot of franchises. Well, it's important for the New York and the Philly franchises because this is a draft that could make or break 2 big markets. If Philly get 2 top of the line players first round, both New York teams get some quality players. Man, you're not going to have. When I looked at that Washington schedule, y'all were talking about what was wins. Anything versus AFC right now is not a win because
No,
their
it's not.
quarterback, every quarterback in the AFC on AFC roster is better than Washington's quarterback.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting season. So we're definitely going to talk about that on Monday, everybody. And we appreciate y'all for joining us here on this edition of the TD Report. Devin, thanks for joining us, man. Great insight on
Appreciate you
Kansas
guys.
City.
Tar Heels.
Thank you.
Tar Heels.
Definitely appreciate
Tony,
you guys, man.
Tony, the Tar Heels will be back next year. The Empire will rise again. The Empire strikes back.
We got the logo.
Oh, man.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, I'll do the same, man.
Later.
Later, man.